Okay, let's take a look at how to calculate the area of a shape that you probably haven't dealt with much. And this works for any regular polygon. And remember, when we say regular polygon, we're talking about a polygon that looks better than the one you see here. Regular would mean that every one of these sides is exactly the same, and every one of the interior angles is exactly the same. So let's pretend for a minute that that's what we're looking at. Now, if I want to find the area of this, there's a couple of words or symbols you need to recognize that mean something that you can identify easily or you've seen before. We'll start with this one. Okay, here's the formula, and this little thing right here is called the apothem. Okay, that's the apothem, and I'm going to show you what that means on our drawing. Okay, now the apothem is basically the distance from the center of this polygon, just kind of treat it like a circle even though it isn't one, drawn directly out to the edge, okay, and it's going to hit the middle of one of those sides in any direction. It could be this direction right here, okay, it could go to any one of these sides. The key is it has to basically hit it at a 90-degree angle. So I'm looking for that distance from the center out to the outside edge. So in this case, it's 10. Now the other thing here in this formula is P, and P means perimeter, which is pretty easy to calculate. You just have to add things up. Now sometimes you have to use your imagination. You have to be creative. All right, if I were to look at this drawing right here, and I can see that this piece right here is 4, but I know that the apothem is always going to be hitting right in the middle of it, well, then that means that this piece right here is also 4, which means that an entire side here is 8. So if I have 8 there, it means I got 8 here, 8 here, 8 here, 8 here, and 8 here. So in order to work this formula out, what I need to do is just write out the pieces. 1/2 times the apothem, in this case that's 10. And then I have to multiply that by the perimeter, which is not 8, it's all of those 8s added up. So I have 8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 48. Okay. Now if I look at these numbers and I put them together, I should get an amount of square units that would represent this area right here, all the way through. Okay, so you go through and do that calculation. It's not really all that complicated. I would look at this and say, oh, 1/2, well, I'm going to take 1/2 of my big number instead of the small number. It's really the same thing, but it's easier for me to work with. 1/2 of 48 is 24, and 24 times 10 is 240 units squared. Okay? And that's the area of that polygon. Now, how could this get worse? How could it automatically just get harder than this? Because, you know, sometimes these problems look simple this way, and then all of a sudden in a book, they look way different. So let me show you a couple of things you have to be aware of, just kind of watch out for. Okay? This little triangle that's drawn, all right, you're going to have some information to start with. It would be nice if you had the apothem and this side over here, but sometimes we won't. Okay, sometimes we might be given, let's see, how about if we're given the apothem? So let's say the apothem was 10, and then we're given this side right here, which is the hypotenuse, and let's say that was 10.7. Okay, if that were the case, I would have to figure this out using the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so that right there is one option I have to watch out for. Okay, another option might be, hey, what if I was given, let's use a color here that'll show, what if I was given one of these sides? So let's say I was given the apothem right here, which was 10. They didn't tell me this, and they didn't tell me this one. Excuse me. But they gave me an angle here. Well, if that's the case, they give me an angle, I'm going to have to use that angle and its adjacent side, and I'm going to have to do a little trig with sine, cosine, or tangent. So a lot of the things you've learned previously in geometry come into play with polygons. You have to use your entire set of tools. You can't just focus on one little thing. You have to use sometimes Pythagorean, sometimes trigonometry. It just depends on what you have available. So these are kind of multi-step problems that you just have to work through piece by piece and persevere. They won't just automatically be solved right away. But the bottom line is, if you can figure out this side of the triangle and this side of the triangle, then coming up with that stuff is really pretty easy.